www.omarfigueroa.com.
This is your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, July 10th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Washington, D.C. considers bill to decriminalize marijuana after leading the nation in pot arrests. From the New York Daily News. Washington, D.C.'s City Council will vote on a measure that would decriminalize possession of less than an ounce of marijuana, making it a civil violation punishable with a fine of $100. At a news conference, Council member Tommy Wells, chairman of the Council's Committee on the Judiciary and Public Safety, noted a recent American Civil Liberties Union report that marijuana arrests in the nation's capital are more than 3 times the national average, and that African Americans in the district are 8 times more likely to be arrested for pot possession than whites. Under current laws in the capital, possession of any amount of marijuana is a crime punishable by up to 6 months in jail and a fine of up to $1,000. While jail time and large fines would be a thing of the past for residents under 18 caught with less than an ounce of pot, minors would be required to attend a drug and alcohol awareness program. 17 states in the nation have passed similar laws decriminalizing the possession of small amounts of marijuana. 75% of Washington residents support the basic guidelines of the new measure, a public policy polling survey taken in April has found. Marijuana banking proposal back before Congress. From the Denver Post. Congress members from Colorado and Washington are planning to try again to help marijuana business access banking services. A bill to be introduced Wednesday revives an effort to shield financial institutions from prosecution if they allow marijuana businesses to access any banking services. Financial institutions now violate federal drug law if they allow marijuana banking, leaving the industry running mostly on cash in the states that allow marijuana. The pot banking bill would allow businesses to make deposits, apply for loans, and accept credit cards. Colorado Representative Earl Perlmutter and Washington Representative Denny Heck are the lead sponsors. The measure faces dim prospects in the Republican-controlled House. New Mexico, vets need better access to medical marijuana. From the Air Force Times. Medical marijuana advocates in New Mexico launched a campaign Tuesday to protect veterans' access to cannabis in the state, saying the initiative has national implications as more former troops with post-traumatic stress disorder find relief for their symptoms by using pot. PTSD is a qualifying condition for New Mexico's medical marijuana program, but former troops often face difficulties obtaining the drug, or can be fired from jobs that prohibit its use, according to the organizers of the Freedom to Choose campaign. Protections for veterans are needed, advocates say, because vets suffer the top 2 conditions that qualify for medical marijuana in New Mexico: PTSD and chronic pain, more than any other populations, and they often face job discrimination. According to the Veterans Affairs Department, an estimated 11% to 20% of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans suffer from PTSD, and 30% of Vietnam veterans have the condition. In 2010, the VA issued a policy that allows patients to use medical marijuana in the states where it's legal, although VA physicians are not allowed to prescribe it. Australian expert: legalize marijuana to protect teens from binge drinking. This from the Raw Story. The director of Australia's alcohol policy research body said Tuesday that he believes marijuana should be legalized and tightly controlled by the government in order to reduce binge drinking, which he said has a much stronger association with violence than any other drug of abuse, particularly among teens. Robin Room told the Herald Sun on Tuesday that it, quote, makes sense to legalize marijuana in a controlled market, end quote. He also threw his support to legalizing marijuana, saying it would particularly affect teens who are most prone to injury from binge drinking. He went on to recommend the government create a monopoly on marijuana sales as well, saying the drug should not be available in supermarkets and must not be advertised at all. Room reportedly added, quote, cannabis is not without harm, but it's substantially less than alcohol and tobacco in terms of social harm. Michigan marijuana supporters to tout economic clout by spending $2 bills. From the Detroit Free Press. Stephen Green watched through the clear partition of a credit union in Southfield, his smile growing to a grin as a teller counted out $200 in $2 bills. Starting today, leaders of medical marijuana and cannabis legalization groups in Michigan plan a quirky 3-week campaign to demonstrate their economic clout. They want supporters to spend at least one $2 bill for each cash purchase. Michigan has slightly over 3% of the U.S. population, so that should mean Michigan's marijuana users currently spend about $945 million a year on marijuana, said Karen O'Keefe from MPP. About 13% of Michiganders reported using marijuana in the past year, according to federal surveys. This has been your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, July 10th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we take a look at the emerging culture that is known by the number 710. We're talking about marijuana concentrates, BHO, hash, oil, Earl, butter, shatter, and all the like. The 710 Cup is this weekend. We'll tell you more about it when we come back. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org.